Section 1. Background of the Peloponnesian War and shifting alliances. Athens versus Sparta. The initial rivalry. Outline the fundamental rivalry between Athens and Sparta, rooted in their contrasting political systems, democracy in Athens versus oligarchy in Sparta, and military strengths, naval power for Athens, land power for Sparta. Highlight how the formation of the Delian League under Athenian control and the Peloponnesian League under Sparta's leadership polarized the Greek world and set the stage for conflict. The fragile peace of Nicias and its breakdown. Describe the Peace of Nicias, 421 BC. A temporary truce that was supposed to last for 50 years but quickly faltered. Neither Athens nor Sparta fully trusted the agreement, and both continued to seek strategic advantages through diplomacy and new alliances. Explain how various Greek city-states, including Argos, Mantinea, and Elis, sought to exploit the tensions between Athens and Sparta. These states feared the power of both major leagues and looked for ways to assert their own independence, leading to shifting alliances. Section 2. The road to Mantinea and the formation of new alliances. The alliance between Athens and Argos. After the breakdown of the Peace of Nicias, Athens began to seek new allies in the Peloponnese, aligning with Argos, a longtime rival of Sparta. Argos, along with Mantinea and Elis, formed a coalition that aimed to challenge Spartan dominance on land. Discuss Athens' motives in aligning with Argos, Mantinea, and Elis. Athens sought to weaken Sparta's land power by supporting a coalition within the Peloponnesian League, aiming to keep Sparta occupied with conflicts closer to home and reduce the threat it posed to Athenian interests. Sparta's response and the gathering of forces. Sparta, in response to the threat posed by the new Athenian Argive coalition, called upon its allies to strengthen its forces and maintain control over the Peloponnese. The Spartans viewed this coalition as a direct challenge to their influence and a threat to the stability of the Peloponnesian League. Detail how this tension culminated in the gathering of forces near Mantinea, where Sparta, supported by its loyal allies, aimed to confront the Argive-led coalition. Both sides anticipated that the outcome of the battle could alter the balance of power in the Peloponnese. Section 3. The Battle of Mantinea and its outcome. The course of the battle. Describe the setup of the battle, with both sides forming traditional hoplite phalanxes. Despite having Athenian support, the Argive coalition was less experienced in coordinated warfare compared to the disciplined Spartans. Detail the key events of the battle, including the initial successes of the Argive coalition and the Spartan counterattack. Under the leadership of King Agis II, the Spartan forces were able to regroup and effectively counter the Athenian Argive forces, leading to a decisive Spartan victory. The immediate consequences of the battle. The defeat at Mantinea disrupted the coalition led by Argos, Mantinea, and Athens, reaffirming Sparta's dominance over the Peloponnese. The victory reinforced Spartan influence and deterred further challenges from regional coalitions. Analyze how the defeat weakened Athens' strategic position, as it had hoped the alliance with Argos would diminish Sparta's land power. The battle highlighted the limitations of Athens' strategy of indirect land intervention and underscored the effectiveness of Spartan military discipline. Section 4. The broader impact on Greek alliances and the course of the war. Shifting loyalties and short-lived alliances. Following Mantinea, the defeated states, particularly Argos, began to realign with Sparta, illustrating the fluidity of alliances in the Greek world. Argos, which had sought to resist Spartan influence, now saw little choice but to reconcile with Sparta after its defeat. Discuss how the shifting alliances underscored the lack of ideological unity in the Peloponnesian War. Rather than being driven by consistent loyalty, city-states often shifted allegiances based on immediate security and political needs, adding complexity to the conflict. Mantinea as a prelude to future conflicts. The battle foreshadowed the ongoing instability that would plague Greece for the remainder of the war. While the Peloponnesian War started as a conflict between Athens and Sparta, Mantinea showed that the interests of smaller city-states played a significant role in prolonging and complicating the war. Analyze how the lesson of Mantinea influenced Athens' later strategies, as it came to recognize the difficulty of weakening Sparta through indirect alliances. This realization ultimately contributed to Athens' decision to pursue more direct, high-risk strategies, such as the Sicilian expedition, which would prove catastrophic. Conclusion. Summarize how the Battle of Mantinea reflected the complex and shifting nature of alliances in the Peloponnesian War. Far from a simple contest between two rival city-states, the war involved numerous smaller powers whose shifting loyalties and ambitions added layers of unpredictability. Conclude by reflecting on the broader impact of the battle. Mantinea demonstrated the importance of local power dynamics in shaping the conflict and underscored the inherent instability of the Greek political landscape. The fragmentation and shifting alliances of the Greek states would persist, eventually weakening Greek unity and leaving the region vulnerable to future external powers, particularly Macedon under Philip II and Alexander the Great. Section 1. Background of the Peloponnesian War and shifting alliances. Athens versus Sparta. The initial rivalry. The Peloponnesian War originated from a deep-rooted rivalry between Athens and Sparta, stemming from their contrasting political systems, cultural values, and military strengths. Athens, with its democratic government and powerful navy, had developed the Delian League, transforming it into an empire by consolidating control over numerous Greek city-states in the Aegean. Sparta, a conservative, oligarchic society with a formidable land army, led the Peloponnesian League, a coalition formed to counterbalance Athenian power. This rivalry was not just a simple clash between two powerful city-states but was intertwined with the interests of smaller Greek cities that sought independence and feared the hegemony of either Athens or Sparta. Many of these smaller states would shift allegiances throughout the war, exploiting the tensions between Athens and Sparta to secure their own interests. The fragile Peace of Nicias and its breakdown. The Peace of Nicias, signed in 421 BC, was a temporary truce intended to halt the conflict between Athens and Sparta. Although both powers officially agreed to maintain peace, neither fully trusted the other, and both continued to maneuver politically. This uneasy peace was soon tested as Athens, eager to weaken Sparta's influence in the Peloponnese, began seeking alliances with states that had grievances against Sparta. This led to a new phase in the conflict, where Athens formed alliances with Argos, Mantinea, and Elis. These states sought to challenge Sparta's dominance and hoped that Athens' support would enable them to assert more independence in the Peloponnesian region. The fragility of the Peace of Nicias and the shifting alliances that followed set the stage for a major confrontation at Mantinea. Section 2. The road to Mantinea and the formation of new alliances. The alliance between Athens and Argos. Seeking to capitalize on the anti-Spartan sentiment among some Peloponnesian states, Athens formed an alliance with Argos, which had been a traditional rival of Sparta. Mantinea and Elis, motivated by their own interests and territorial disputes with Sparta, joined this coalition, hoping to leverage Athenian power against Sparta's dominance. This alliance represented a bold shift in Athens' strategy, as it marked a move to counter Sparta's land power through an indirect approach, using allied forces within the Peloponnese to pressure Sparta on its own territory. Athens' decision to ally with Argos, Mantinea, and Elis reflected its desire to challenge Sparta in a new way, through a coalition that could undermine Spartan control from within the Peloponnesian League. However, this coalition also demonstrated the fragility of Greek alliances, as these partnerships were based on temporary common interests rather than long-term commitments. Sparta's response and the gathering of forces. Sparta, recognizing the threat posed by this new coalition, rallied its loyal allies and prepared for a confrontation. Led by King Agis II, Sparta organized a military campaign to protect its influence in the Peloponnese and deter future challenges from regional coalitions. The gathering of forces near Mantinea became a focal point, with both sides aware that the outcome of the battle could significantly alter the balance of power in the region. Sparta's response demonstrated its commitment to maintaining its position as the dominant power in the Peloponnese. By confronting the coalition on land, where Spartan forces excelled, Sparta aimed to assert its military strength and reinforce its reputation as an unmatched land power. The Spartans were particularly motivated to reassert control after the recent internal instability and to prevent Athens from further exploiting local discontent. Section 3. The Battle of Mantinea and its outcome. The course of the battle. The battle was one of the largest land engagements of the Peloponnesian War, with both sides fielding sizable hoplite armies. Although the coalition had Athenian support, The forces were less experienced and lacked the coordination of the Spartans, who were famous for their discipline and battlefield cohesion. Under King Aegisthus' command, the Spartans executed a tactical regrouping that allowed them to counter the initial success of the coalition forces, ultimately leading to a decisive Spartan victory. This victory reinforced the reputation of the Spartan phalanx and highlighted the advantages of Spartan military training and discipline. Despite the strength of their allies, the coalition was unable to overcome Sparta's tactical superiority on land, revealing the limitations of Athens' strategy of indirect engagement.